All right, so here we are. I got everything for my Scenic road wheelbarrow. By the way, it is the best wheelbarrow in the world, and we're gonna put this together right now. I got my tray, I got my red oak handles, and I got my box with all the parts in it. Also, I got my trusty half-inch socket and a hammer. So what do you say we put this thing together? Okay, so with Scenic Road Manufacturing, they're wonderful wheelbarrows. They deliver this beautiful parts box to you. So let's open it up and see what's in it, okay? Instructions, that's important, but we'll go over that in a little bit, okay? First, you have the wheel. 2 legs. We have the nose. We have the axle brackets. These are going to be your front braces. Your parts bag. Of course, you're gonna need an axle. Your wheelbarrow won't go very far without it. Okay, you have your rear and front support straps. We have your tray support strap. We have your leg brace. So let's get started and put this wheelbarrow together. Okay, so first off, this is our parts bag. And what's really gonna help you out a lot by putting this wheelbarrow together is if we get these parts out of the bag and kind of line them up by size. So first we're gonna get started with the legs, and what we're gonna do, we're gonna put the openings of the legs down, okay? Once we have that, then we're gonna get the leg brace. Now, interesting enough about the leg brace, you're gonna notice that there's 2 holes on each side. One of the holes is a little bit closer to the edge. Now that's important to know because what we wanna do is have the hole that's closest to the edge pointed down, okay? Now, what we're going to do is gonna line up with the holes, just like that. We're gonna take our smaller bolts from the outside in, like that. And we're gonna hand tighten them. Okay? Now what we're gonna do is repeat that process 3 more times to put this leg brace on the leg. And there you go. Okay, so let's start by putting the handles onto the tray. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna start with the tray upside down. What you wanna do is grab your 3-inch large head bolts and also those fancy white washers. And I'll tell you why these washers are fancy in a second. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go inside the tray. Put the bolt through the tray. Then with one of those white washers, we're gonna put that right on the bolt. And look at that. That washer holds that bolt right in place so it doesn't fall through the hole. And now we can finish with the rest of the 3 and get our handles on. All right, so now it's time to get on these red oak handles. These handles are just absolutely beautiful. The cool thing is they're interchangeable, so you can't really mess it up. You just want to make sure the handles are in the right spot behind the wheelbarrow. So let's put the handles on. Sound good? And then you go around and do the other side. Handles are on. Okay, so now we got the support straps. You have a front support strap and a rear support strap, okay? And you wanna make sure that these bolts are all the way through because we got some hardware to put on them. Okay, front and back. Pretty easy. Okay, now it's time to put on the leg assembly. We did this earlier in the video. With this leg brace, it's really important to hand tight that nut and bolt on. Again, don't use any wrenches right now. Okay, that's gonna come later, but we just wanna hand tighten this, okay? So with the leg brace, that goes to the rear of the wheelbarrow, okay? Just like that. Now, you're gonna notice it gets a little tight up here to the front. That's okay, just give it a little squeeze and put them over the bolts like that. All right, time now to attach the leg assembly onto our wheelbarrow. We're gonna get our 4 nuts, put them onto the bolts, hand tighten please. Remember, we don't need any tools right now. Ta-da! Before we put our wheel on, obviously we want to put the nose of the wheelbarrow on right now. We're going to do that right now. So here's our nose. You can see our handles here on the wheelbarrow. They are not as wide as the nose itself. And that's okay, don't be alarmed by that. What we want to do first is get our 2.5-inch bolts and put them on one side. So we're going to connect the handle to the nose. Okay? Now what we want to do is take our nut, put it onto the bolt, hand tighten it, but not all the way. Just so it's barely onto the bolt. And we're going to repeat that step. Again, just taking that nut and putting it onto the bolt like that. You don't need it flush with the nose, just so it's on. Because what that does is it gives a little bit more play as we anchor into the nose to the other side of the handle, okay? Now you are gonna have to provide a little bit of force, not a lot, but there is some tension and that's okay, there's supposed to be. So just like that. Again, you're gonna hand tighten them. Okay. And there you go, your nose is on the handles right now. Now it's time to tighten them up. Get our 1/2-inch socket, just like that. And we can go ahead and tighten these nuts onto the bolts. Starting to look like a wheelbarrow now. So time now to put on our axle brackets. You have 2 axle brackets. Something that's really important to know about these axle brackets is that you have a wide side on these axle brackets. That wide side will point towards your wheel on your wheelbarrow, just like so. Now once you have that on your handle, we're going to take the front brace that you'll see right here, put the front brace with your 3-inch bolt, put it into the front brace first, and then put the bolt through the hole that is closest to the front of your wheelbarrow, just like that. Okay? Then you're going to put the nut onto the bolt by hand loosely. We don't want this real tight at all because we're going to adjust these axle brackets while we put the axle on. Just like that. And then you're going to repeat that for the other side. Okay, so let's finish off these axle brackets by putting on the other 2 bolts. Before we put this tray support strap on, I want to let you know that you might find some more parts in your part bag. That's okay. They do that on purpose with these single wheel models because, you know, you never know if your dog runs away with one of the nuts or the bolts or something like that. You might need an extra one. So they're going to hook you up with some more parts, which is great. Time now to put on our front support strap. What we're going to need is obviously our front support strap. You're going to notice that there's a little tiny curve in it if you look at it closely, and that's going to go the curve of the tray. Your front support strap goes directly onto the tray, then your brace, your front brace, okay? Obviously with your 1-inch large head bolts. So what I like to do is I like to put the wheelbarrow kind of up on my knee here a little bit. I put the bolt through the front support strap, then your brace, then I grab a nut, and then I tie it on like so. And then you repeat the process for the other side. Okay, so now that we have the axle brackets onto our handles and we have the axle rod in through the axle brackets, time now for our trusty tire. Our wheel obviously goes in the center and the axle rod goes through the middle of the tire. Take your trusty hammer, put the tire between the handles, put it onto the axle rod, and bang it home. And there you go. Okay, so now that we have the tire in place, the axle through the axle brackets, you want to make sure that the axle brackets are kind of lined up pretty flush with your handles. You want to make sure your tire's in the center without hitting anything, right? We want this wheelbarrow to roll smooth for us. So once we have it all ship shape put together, we just got to lock down these nuts onto the bolts, okay? So we got our 1/2-inch socket, and away we go. Okay, so we're almost done. We just need to lock down these nuts. First, we're gonna start with the leg assembly, okay? We're gonna start here. We wanna make sure these are all good and tight. Then we're gonna do the leg brace. And then we're gonna do your front brace. Once you got your nuts and bolts all locked in, my friends, this is one fine looking Scenic Road wheelbarrow. The best wheelbarrow in the world.